Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take topics you're curious about and, well, really dig into them to pull out the key insights. Today we're tackling something that, let's be honest, trips up almost everyone at some point: common English spelling mistakes. You asked for a way to get a better handle on this quickly, so here we are.
And it's a really good topic because even with spell check everywhere, getting spelling right, it still matters, for professionalism, clarity.
Definitely. Avoids confusion. And, hey, even native speakers make these mistakes all the time.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just learners. English spelling is, it's notoriously inconsistent.
Right. So in this deep dive, we're going to look at some of the most common errors. Explore why English spelling can be so confusing.
Yeah, the history behind it is quite fascinating.
We'll look at those word pairs that always get mixed up, plurals, past tense issues, a bit on an American versus British differences.
And crucially, some practical tips you can actually use to improve.
Exactly. We know English spelling can be frustrating with all its quirks and borrowings from other languages. The goal here is to unpack the main problem areas so you feel a bit more confident navigating it all.
Okay, so where should we start? Maybe with some of the usual suspects?
Good idea. Let's hit some common ones. How about definitely? I see definitely all the time.
Yes. DEFINITELY. The trick I like is thinking about the word finite inside it. FINITE, meaning an end or limited, definitely has that sense of certainty.
Finite. Yeah, that helps anchor the I before the T. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, another one. Separate. Often written as separate.
Yes, SEPARATE. The mnemonic I always heard for this, and it's a bit silly, but it works,
Go on.
is that there's a rat in separate. SEPARATE.
A rat. Okay, that's memorable. I'll give you that. Sometimes the weird ones stick the best.
They really do. Then you've got the big three homophones. There, and there.
Oh, the classic trio. Sound the same, totally different meanings.
Exactly. THEIR is possessive, right? Their car. THERE points to a place. Look over there.
Or it can be used to start a sentence, like there is no reason.
True. And THUI'(RE) is just short for they are. They're coming later. You really have to pause and think about the job the word's doing in your sentence.
Context is everything there. Same deal with your and your.
YUR for possession. Is this your coat?
And YOU'(RE) for you are, you're doing great.
Yeah.
That apostrophe stands in for the A.
Precisely. And another apostrophe trap, it's versus its. This one catches so many people.
It really does.
So IT'(us) always means it is or it has. Always. It's raining. It's been fun.
Right.
Whereas ITS, no apostrophe, is the possessive form, like his or her. The cat chased its tail. No apostrophe for possessive pronouns like its, his, hers, yours, theirs.
That's a key point. It breaks the usual possessive apostrophe rule, which confuses things. Okay, what about some longer words? Accommodate.
The double letters. Yes, accommodate needs 2 C's and 2 M's. ACCOMMODATE.
I like to think the word itself has to be big enough to accommodate all those letters.
That's a good way to visualize it. Similar issue with embarrass. It feels awkward, maybe. Needs 2 R's and 2 S's. EMBARAS.
And occurrence. Also loves doubling up.
Yep, 2 C's, 2 R's, OCCURENCE. It occurs with double letters.
Okay, and a simple one that still causes trouble. A lot.
Always 2 words. A space lot, never a lot. Think of a little, you wouldn't write a little.
Good point. And finally for this batch, lose versus loose.
Right. LOSE, lose, means to misplace something or not win. Don't lose your keys. We might lose the game.
LOSE, loose, with the double O means not tight. My shoelace is loose.
the tip here, you don't want to lose the extra O when you mean not tight.
Nice one. Okay, so we've seen some common culprits, but why is English spelling such a minefield in the first place? It feels, deliberately difficult sometimes.
It can feel that way. There are several historical reasons. One big one is silent letters.
Right, like the K in night, or the H in honest, or the W in right.
Exactly. Those letters often used to be pronounced hundreds of years ago. The pronunciation changed, but the spelling, well, it got stuck. Like little historical fossils in the words.
Ghosts of pronunciations past. And what about all the words borrowed from other languages?
That's a huge factor. English is like a linguistic magpie. It's borrowed heavily from Latin, Greek, French, especially after the Norman conquest, German, and loads more.
That each language brought its own spelling rules.
Pretty much. So you get Greek patterns with F for an F sound, like philosophy, French patterns like ca at the end of words, like unique, sitting alongside Old English words with completely different structures. It creates layers of inconsistency.
Yeah, a real mix. Then there are homophones. Same sound, different spelling and meaning.
Like two, flower and flower, break and break. You can't rely on the sound at all. You have to know the meaning in context.
It really tests your understanding. And even when you think there's a rule, English loves to break it. The famous I before E except after C
works for receive or ceiling.
But then you get weird C's neighbor, height. It's full of exceptions.
It really is. It's this combination, the history, the borrowing, the sound mismatches, the rule breaking, that makes it so challenging.
Okay, so keeping those challenges in mind, let's talk about some specific word pairs that frequently cause confusion. Affect versus effect has to be near the top.
Definitely. A-F-E-C-T, affect, is usually the verb. It means to influence or impact something. The weather will affect our plans.
And E-F-E-C-T, effect, is usually the noun. It's the result or the consequence. The effect of the storm was significant.
Right. Remember A for action, verb. E for end result, noun. That can help. Though, just to complicate things, affect can be a verb meaning to bring about, like to affect change, but that's less common.
Good distinction. Okay, next pair, than versus then.
Simple but common. THAM is for comparisons. She's taller than him.
The THEN relates to time or sequence. We ate lunch, then we went home. A is for comparison, E is for time.
Exactly. How about weather and weather?
WEETHER. That's the climate, the atmospheric conditions. How's the weather today?
WHETEER introduces a choice or possibility, like if. I don't know whether I should go. It often pairs with or.
Got it. What about principle and principle?
This one's tricky. PRINCIPLE, ending in LAE, is a rule, a standard, or a belief. The guiding principle.
PRINCIPAL, ending in AL, can be an adjective meaning main, or most important, the principal reason, or noun, often meaning the head of a school.
And the memory trick for the school meaning the principal is your PL.
Okay, that's cheesy but effective. One more. Stationary versus stationary.
Right. Station AA with an A means not moving, standing still, like a stationary car.
Stationary with an E refers to writing materials, paper, envelopes. Think E for envelopes.
Nice one. Okay, moving beyond pairs, let's touch on plurals and past tense errors.
Yeah, these basics can still catch people. Most nouns just add E's, right? Cats, dogs, books.
Mostly yes, but words ending in SXH usually add E's, like buses, boxes, churches, dishes.
And there are rules for words ending in Y, like puppies from puppy, or F, leaves from leaf. But the basic S or ES covers a lot.
Then there's past tense. Regular verbs add AAD. Walk becomes walked. play becomes played.
But English has tons of irregular verbs where the spelling changes completely.
Oh yeah, go becomes went, not good. Buy becomes bought, not buyed. Eat becomes ate. See becomes saw.
There's no simple rule for those, is there? You just have to learn them.
Pretty much, yeah. Exposure through reading and practice helps embed them. And another common pitfall, apostrophes with plurals.
Big one. People sometimes throw apostrophes in just to make a word plural, like writing cats when they just mean more than one cat.
Exactly. Apostrophes show possession, the cat's toy, or contractions, it is, not simple plurals. So the cats are sleeping, no apostrophe. The cat's bed is soft, needs the apostrophe for possession.
Getting that distinction right makes a big difference in clarity. Okay, what about the whole American versus British spelling thing? Does it matter much?
It matters mostly for consistency. You know the common ones. Color versus color.
Favorite versus favorite. Center versus center.
Organized versus organized. Theater versus theater. There are patterns like the R, air, I's. Neither is wrong. They're just different conventions.
So the advice is just pick one and stick with it.
Exactly. If you're writing for a primarily British audience, maybe use British spelling. If for an American audience, use American. But the most important thing is consistency within a single piece of writing. Don't mix them up.
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift to solutions. What are some really practical, actionable tips you can give listeners to actively improve their spelling?
Well, one really powerful technique is learning common roots, prefixes, and suffixes. Understanding these building blocks helps you decode and spell longer words.
Like knowing bio means life helps with biology, biography.
Or graph means right, so autograph, paragraph. Pre means before, un means not. Knowing these parts gives you clues to the spelling and meaning.
That connects to another tip. Break longer words down into smaller parts or syllables.
Yes, like unbelievable or misunderstanding. Saying the parts out loud as you write can sometimes help lock in the spelling. It makes the word less intimidating.
What about keeping track of errors?
A spelling journal is fantastic for this. Seriously. When you look up a word or get corrected, write it down. Put the correct spelling, the meaning, maybe a sentence using it.
And maybe the trick you use to remember it.
Exactly. Like the rat in separate or the pal in principle. That personal connection makes it stick.
Speaking of tricks, mnemonics. Those little memory aids.
They can be lifesavers for really awkward words. We mentioned necessary, one color, two sleeves, one C, two S's.
Or rhythm. Rhythm helps your two hips move. RHYTHM.
Finding or creating mnemonics for words you personally struggle with is super effective. And don't forget tech tools.
Right, spell checkers are a given, but things like Grammarly go further, explaining the errors.
Yeah. And there are spelling game apps, vocabulary builders like WordUp or Merriam-Webster's quiz apps. They can make practice more engaging.
Which brings us to practice itself. It really does make perfect, or at least better.
Absolutely. You need consistent exposure. Testing yourself with flashcards or apps is good. Reading more is crucial. You see words spelled correctly in context constantly.
Newspapers, books, articles online, whatever you enjoy.
And writing more. Even emails, social media posts, maybe keeping a journal. The act of writing forces you to retrieve spellings.
It really reinforces the learning. Are there specific words that pop up as misspelled all the time? Maybe especially in things like exams or essays? Oh, sort of most wanted list?
There definitely are. We've hit some, but others include believe, not believe. Environment needs that N before M. February, that first R is sneaky. Grammar, not grammar.
Height, not height. License, S, not C, in American English usually, but check consistency. Receive, that A after C.
Separately, remember the A separately. Tomorrow, one M, double R. And of course, weird, the classic I exception. Being aware of these common traps helps a lot.
It's like knowing where the potholes are on a familiar road. What about tips for visual learners? Does seeing the word differently help?
Yes, definitely. For some people, using color can help. Write the tricky part of a word in a different color, or write the correct and incorrect versions side by side in different colors to highlight the difference.
Like writing definitely in green and definitely in red.
Exactly. Or using visual imagery, like for dessert, sweet treat, versus desert, dry place. You want 2 servings, 2 S's of dessert because it's so good. A desert is vast and sandy, maybe like one long is.
Those mental pictures can really lock it in. Okay, a key point we touched on earlier, pronunciation isn't always a reliable guide in English, is it?
Not at all. That's a huge source of confusion. Think about kernel sounds like kernel, or island. Where did that "es" come from? Or Bologna.
Yeah, if you spelled those phonetically based on standard English sounds, you'd be way off.
So you can't always trust your ear. Sometimes you have to consciously override the sound.
What's a strategy for that?
One thing that helps some people is to deliberately say the letters aloud, slowly, as you write a difficult word, even if it sounds weird. For environment, actually saying environment as you write it, focusing on each letter, can help override a tendency to drop a letter based on casual pronunciation.
That makes sense. It forces you to focus on the actual letters.
Yeah.
So, wrapping up the journey to better spelling, it's more of a marathon than a sprint, right?
Absolutely. Patience and consistency are key. Nobody masters this overnight. You will make mistakes.
And that's okay.
It's more than okay. It's how you learn. See mistakes as signposts showing you what you need to practice. Set small, achievable goals. Maybe focus on 5 tricky words this week. Or really nail the difference between it's and its.
Little victories build confidence.
Exactly. Keep reading, keep writing, keep noticing words. Over time, it really does improve.
So, to sum up this deep dive, English spelling has its quirks, thanks to history and borrowing, but it's definitely manageable. Understanding why it's tricky helps. Using memory tricks, breaking down words, keeping track of your problem spots.
And consistent practice through reading and writing, those are the keys.
Yeah.
It's about building good habits and being actively aware.
It takes effort, for sure, but
Yeah.
the payoff is clearer, more confident, more professional communication.
Definitely. And here's something to think about as you go about your day. Start consciously noticing spelling everywhere you see it. In emails, on signs, in books. Think about how a tiny spelling change like lose to loose or it completely changes the meaning. How much rests on getting those little details right. It really highlights the subtle power embedded in spelling.